When the coach says, I've got to establish the running game.
Typically, you have to run the ball to set up the pass.
He is, if you'll excuse me, camera, he's full of
That's the biggest myth in sports.
That shows you how many people don't know what they don't know.
You think you know, but you don't know.
We all don't know everything.
And you never will.
Work your tail off. 5 seconds left. 4, you dreaming? 3, number 3, Brett, number 3. More to go.
Evidently 2 pushing 2 weeks.
1, come on.
NFL history is laden with larger-than-life figures.
That's a legend right there. You're just a squirrel trying to get a nut.
Today, the league's landscape has enough nutty myths to get 32 teams through even the coldest of winters.
I can't move my hands or feet, man. I'm freaking out.
Act like you're an athlete, even if it's a myth.
We chose the top 10 pieces of football common knowledge. Our experts decided what was truth and what was myth.
I think to be a truly great myth, there's also got to be a great debate.
Defense wins championships.
Very true.
That's a tough one.
Well, there's an exception to that.
Quarterback needs a rocket arm.
That is the truth. That is perception. No. Okay.
All these myths are kind of interconnected a little bit.
We may never know the identity of who's behind all this mythical mischief.
Oh, come on. Who's that?
But we will unmask each myth's naked truth.
The number 10 football myth of all time, tackle statistics are accurate.
The reason that the statistic is worthless is because every team does it differently.
I believe them about as much as I could believe that I could sell my house for what it's appraised at for real estate taxes, okay?
Why? Why?
During the NFL's infancy, different rules made tackles easier to record.
You had to hold the guy down for about 5 seconds, and that was really a tackle.
Every motion Willis makes is pointed toward the tackle, and when he makes them, brother, they stay tackled.
Since then, the 5-second rule has become synonymous with food on the ground, not ball carriers. As the game sped up, tackles became harder to track, and defenders are happy to help inflate their statistics.
Players will go to the statisticians or relay word to the statisticians. Hey, man, I made more tackles than that. You better wise up.
Desperate people do desperate things.
Ray Lewis in Baltimore. Ray Lewis gets far more tackles than he's actually involved with, but they want to keep Ray happy. So he gets the benefit of the statistician's dollar.
Fourth down! Fourth down! Fourth down!
Other times, tackles can run into film room padding.
If a guy had 7 tackles on Sunday, somehow it was 11 on Monday when the game film was reviewed. We'd actually have players that we would start to say, you know, that guy's a great player on Monday. Too bad he didn't show up too much on Sunday.
The most worthless thing is letting a coach decide who's in on a tackle.
You see a 3-yard run in a pile of dust. I mean, who really made the tackle?
When a guy jumps on the pile, is that part of the tackle?
Coaches will give assists to guys that were in the neighborhood.
Sometimes the coaches will say, okay, everybody gets a tackle, okay? You get a tackle, you get a tackle, you get a tackle.
Thank you. Thank you.
Then you start adding it all up and say, this is mathematically impossible. Are they counting tackles from practice?
You always both. Now let me see you make the tackle.
Our number 10 myth says tackle stats aren't accurate. But does that mean tackles are worthless?
Tackles are important. If you're out there getting tackles, yeah, sometimes you get a few easy ones. It's still what the game is all about, stopping the other guy. You gotta tackle him. If there isn't a tackle, then everybody keeps running like Forrest Gump.
Everybody grabbing out there. Nobody tackling. Just grab it, everybody. Grab, grab, grab. Nobody tackling.
You know if a guy's a good defender or not. And numbers, I think, are meaningless when it comes to tackles.
Who can guess one football myth that didn't make our countdown? It's that old wives' tale that rookie NFL head coaches cannot win.
I do not think at all that is true.
It used to seem like a fact, considering the NFL coaching debuts of men like Lou Holtz, Steve Spurrier, and Bobby Petrino. But in 2008, the trio of John Harbaugh, Mike Smith, and Tony Sparano all became NFL head coaches for the first time, and each led his team to the playoffs. Now, it's easy to believe that a rookie head coach can win, but would you believe our next myth?
The number 9 football myth of all time. It's tough to repeat as the Super Bowl champion.
I think it's a myth to say it's hard to repeat. There are teams that have made that ride over and over again. If you have a good model of keeping good players on your team, developing good players through the draft, you're going to be in the Super Bowl over and over again.
2 in a row. How sweet it is.
How is it hard to repeat as a Super Bowl champion a myth? I'm going to throw the red challenge flag on myth number 9 because it is difficult.
This is algebra. It's hard to win to begin with. Winning back-to-back is even harder to a more exponential level.
That was some quick math there, huh?
I mean, the last 25 years, how many teams have done it?
Funny you should ask. Since the Super Bowl began, 8 teams have won the title and then repeated. The Lombardi Packers, Shula Dolphins, the Knoll Steelers did it twice, the Montana Niners, Triplet Cowboys, Elway's Broncos, and Belichick's Patriots.
You can't get the title unless you knock the champ out, and we the champ.
That means of the 17 franchises that have won the Super Bowl, 7 of them have won 2 straight. And remember, the Steelers have won 2 straight 2 times. So 8 of the 17 winning franchises, almost 50%, have gone
back to back, baby. Back to back, baby.
Yeah, maybe other teams will be gunning for you because you are the defending champs, but you got to do your thing.
We know we're the best team. Let's just go out and prove it today.
It's just hard to win a Super Bowl. So it's no harder to repeat than it is to win that first one.
Where the problem comes in is that it's like hard to three-peat.
And they are world champions once again.
People get that mixed up. They say, well, it's hard to repeat. Yeah, no, it's hard to repeat after you repeat it.
Now the question, can they have a three-peat?
It's much harder to repeat as Super Bowl champion in the era of salary cap and free agency than it was before. Green Bay didn't have to worry about a salary cap. Cowboys didn't have to worry about it. Pittsburgh didn't have to worry about it.
The Pittsburgh Steelers of the 1970s. The best team ever.
Would they be saying it about the Steelers if they'd added Cap and Chuck Noll and had to pick between Swan and Stallworth or Lambert and Ham? That's why Bill Belichick's accomplishments at New England may be the most impressive in history for a coach.
It's hard to repeat as AFC West champion. It's hard to repeat as AFC Conference champion, let alone Super Bowl champion.
It is Super Bowl 11.
To win a Super Bowl, everything has to go perfect. The cheerleaders got to be perfect. The ball boys got to be perfect.
You better catch it.
The coaches got to be perfect. Everything's got to be perfect. But it can only be perfect 1 year in a row.
Bottom line is, if you are good enough to win a Super Bowl, then you're probably good enough to get back.
Usually a team that good is going to be that good the following year, and they'll be in the race.
Cowboys back to back and now, bam!
From a myth standpoint, no. Yeah, you can repeat. It's just you can't three-peat.
The number 8 football myth of all time, you should punt on 4th down.
Teams should be a lot more aggressive than they are.
Who determined this?
A college professor.
A college professor that's never coached a game in his life.
So you're going to tell me about the guy from Cal over there that has this formula that says you should go for it on 4th down.
I don't know that his study is based on, number one, enough data.
I used data from every single NFL game for 3 years. Teams would, on average, be better off going for it. If it's, on average, good to do something, then each individual case, it can't be bad.
Ask him if his mortgage is on the line if it's 4th and 8 and you don't make it.
What do you got to lose except your damn job?
More yards are gained and lost on punts than on any other play in pro football. Punts like this 90-yarder by Don Chandler can change the tenor of an entire game.
I don't mind punting
when you're 25 or 30-yard line. But if you're at the 45-yard line of the opposing team, why do you want to punt?
So you're saying punt it on the 30-yard line?
You may get a net of maybe 14, 15 yards.
It's just going to gain 10 yards.
You're punting the ball away. The ball goes in the end zone, comes out to the 20.
No, hey, kicked it in the end zone.
That doesn't make sense to me. I think the Economist is on to something.
A good coach understands, go for it at the key moments in the game.
Let's see. Let's go for it. Let's go for it. Let's go for it. Let's go for it.
Where a riverboat gambler type, a Jerry Glanville type, may go for it at any instance, and it may backfire in his face.
Anybody nervous? Anybody scared?
I like coaches that gamble. I remember Patera up in Seattle. They didn't have many good players, so he used all 4 downs. You could never come off the field.
I smell something here. It's too early to kick that long, but maybe he will. We'll see.
Even on field goals, he's faking them.
It's down. They fake it. Zorn runs to the right. He's got a first down to the 20, 15 to 10. Zorn down inside the 10-yard line.
He's using every down to try and gain yards.
First down.
I like that. That's good.
Our number 8 myth says that teams should punt on 4th and short. So, is it better to throw in the towel or sweat it out by going for it?
Y'all punting it. Y'all giving up. Oh, man. Y'all stink.
I don't think 4th and 1 now is an automatic punt like it used to be.
Teams need to go for it more on 4th and short, especially at midfield.
We not punting, dog. We're not punting.
You are going to get that 4th down more than half the time, and it easily makes up for the field position that you lose during the times that you fail.
I think we're seeing more and more, that myth going away.
We're not going to punt this year anyhow, so you don't have to worry about it.
Turnovers are huge. Great football teams do a great job of not turning it over.
And the story of this game, turnovers.
We need some turnovers.
But some think that turnovers deciding games is not a myth.
Turnovers decide games is not a misperception. Of course, turnovers decide games. Everything that you do decides games.
Everyone remembers the catch. Most forget the turnovers.
The 49ers turned the ball over 6 times and won an NFC Championship game. They tell you today, we can't turn the ball. They turned the ball over 6 times and won.
The 49ers had 6 turnovers as a team. In a 2006 game, Rex Grossman had 6 turnovers by himself in a Bears victory.
They are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
The number 7 football myth of all time. Dome teams are soft.
Dome teams are fast. I don't know if they're soft.
Are dome teams soft? Yes.
I don't buy that notion. If you're a good football team, you're a good football team, and you can win anywhere.
Dome teams are soft because they play inside.
That was a fact for many years. They weren't tough enough.
Jackson just blasted and dragged him into the end zone.
If you brought dome teams into very cold, wintry conditions, it was going to be a problem. But if you brought any open-air southern team, a Miami team, a San Diego team, they'd be at the same disadvantage that a dome team would be.
San Diego wishing that this game could have been played on a warm day.
The biggest mistake the Vikings ever made was going into a dome. When they played in the old Met in Bloomington, they had a home field advantage. They wound up going to 4 Super Bowls.
Let's go now. That's our ball.
The reason the Minnesota Vikings have not been back to a Super Bowl is because of the fact that they went to a dome. They have never been the same team.
The Falcons have stolen the thunder from the Vikings. It's like getting punched in the gut.
The Minnesota Vikings are anything but soft. You can't run against them. They got pass rushes outside. They got a power running game. How are they anything but the antithesis of what we think of the old dome teams?
You'll find some really tough teams that play in domes, and you can't call them soft.
Teams like the Houston Oilers, they were a very physical team. Jim Mora's New Orleans Saints, they sent 4 linebackers to the Pro Bowl. They weren't a soft team.
But you don't know, and you never will.
The 99 Rams weren't supposed to win. They're a dome team. The NFC Championship game, they had to do all the things dome teams are not supposed to do. They had to play a close game and come up with the one play at the end that allowed them to get through.
Far sideline at this point. Touchdown Rams, yes!
Dome teams have played 10 conference championship games on the road, outdoors. They have lost all 10.
Maybe it's not a myth.
If you play in a dome, you're going to need speed. You're going to want to probably have lighter players. Well, now all of a sudden, you go outdoors and it's freezing and you're playing a power football game. That's a whole different kind of game.
Physical cold weather football.
Dome teams are soft. If that's the case, put on the highlight film of the Colts winning in Baltimore on their playoff run in 2006.
The Colts have it!
It was cold, and you got the Ravens and Ray Lewis. They were the big, tough team, and the Colts were the nice cotton swab team. They took the game to the Ravens.
Spider away and picked up by the Colts. The game is now over.
This team proved capable of playing anywhere.
The Colts are world champions!
We think of the old Dome teams as being spread them out, passing teams that are a little soft, and they were. I don't think that's true anymore.
It just comes down to what kind of team you are and how good you are.
I do not think Dome teams are any more soft.
That's a bad one. You gotta get that off your list.
The number 6 football myth of all time. Icing the kicker works.
All the timeout, ice the kicker. Timeout! 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 Timeout!
Icing the kicker has been done for years, but is its effectiveness myth or truth?
Timeout! Timeout!
I think by and large that is a big myth that you can ice the kicker because they want to be iced, okay?
I think sometimes kickers maybe like the extra time. And they think, oh, they're going to think about this, but I don't think it works.
Coaches think, hey, this can get in their psyche and make them think about the kick just a little bit longer. I kind of think it's hogwash, though.
You can ice me all you want. I'm still going to hit it. That's my attitude. Yeah, ice me, fine. I mean, I hit a 50-yarder after an ice.
And it is good. Stover wins it.
Please give me more time. It's great. It just makes me even that much more confident that I'm going to be more successful with that field goal.
Sorry to bring this up again, Bills fans, but obviously not everyone feels the same confidence after being iced.
Timeout. A timeout is taken. The Giants want to try to ice him here.
I do remember, I think there was a timeout called, so I'm sure things kind of broke down in some sense because of that. The old ice the kicker.
Arm extended, puts it down, on the way, it's long enough, and it is no good. He missed it to the right with 4 seconds to play.
Some kickers freeze under pressure. Others have ice water in their veins.
I played with a kicker that's probably going to go in the Hall of Fame, Adam Vinatieri.
The greatest clutch kicker probably in the history of the National Football League.
I'd say he's going to the Hall of Fame for all the clutch kicks he's made.
So the times that, opposing teams that try to ice him, it made him even more clutch. Prime example was the Snow Bowl that we had.
All the big linemen with the size 14 shoes were helping me try to clear a patch of snow. Coach Gruden called timeout, which, hindsight looking back at it, I'd like to thank him for it. It gave us more opportunity to clear more snow and give me just a little bit better of a spot.
The crowd will tell you whether he makes it or not. Kick is up. Patriots!
You know what's really ridiculous, what really gets my goat is the coaches that call timeout at the last possible second.
This is 53 for the win. Nick Folk is online. Is it long enough? The Cowboys win. But no, a timeout called by Buffalo.
For a coach on the sideline to have the official come over and stand next to him and say, right before that ball is snapped, I want to call a timeout. I think that is wrong. I think it's one of the worst things that we've done as far as rule changes in the game.
What a call by Dick Duran. It's a great call, and you know what? It's a terrible rule.
I really have a distaste for what they're doing.
I don't think there is any such thing as poor sportsmanship.
Our game is about execution.
I would run up the score against every team if I could.
And pressure.
I would ice the kicker.
Making things happen.
I would call a late timeout.
As opposed to trying to gimmick up the game.
I would throw things on the field, my sock, a red flag, whatever I had, my shoe. Like, do people talk about that guy in New England with the snowblower?
Enter the Foxborough Brushman, who cleared the path to victory.
The snowplow game is the most unfair act that's ever been perpetrated in the history of the National Football League.
Who cares how you win? Just win.
Some kicks go in.
Lawrence Tynes has kicked the Giants to the Super Bowl.
Others do not.
And it is no good.
but it's clear that icing the kicker doesn't play a big part in the outcome.
That is a myth. Icing the kicker does not work.
I would love someone to show me when icing the kicker works. Maybe it works in high school.
What you're banking on is that the kicker is just going to overthink and take himself out of his form. But what else are kickers doing all day long but thinking?
And now, the number 5 football myth of all time. A quarterback needs a rocket arm.
Quarterback needs a rocket arm.
You know, I like a quarterback with a really good arm. Let's start with that.
I think that's a fact. I really do.
It now opens your offense up to all possibilities.
Hey, we can do it all.
Yo, let's rock it. Let's rock it. Now we don't have to knock off the top 10% or 15% of it because he can't make certain throws down the field.
Can Anthony do it?
I think you need to thread the needle in the NFL. I think you need to zip it in there. I don't know of too many pop gun arms that have won Super Bowls. And of course, if I start naming names, then I can't see these quarterbacks in public anymore.
Yeah, right. A quarterback needs a rocket arm.
False.
No, does not need a rocket arm.
How's Jamarcus Russell doing these days?
Going for a bomb down the right sideline. He overthrows man. It's intercepted.
How's Kyle Bowler?
It's a shame to explain the obvious, but that was an ill-advised pass right there.
That rocket arm could be throwing the ball into the hands of guys wearing jerseys for the other team.
No more rocket balls, please.
Throwing it hard makes no sense when you don't know where it's going.
Yeah, who's he throwing that to? Nobody was open.
I've seen those guys with a strong arm, that ball saying, shoo, shoo, and they're never close.
A quarterback needs a rocket arm if he's in NASA.
I do not regard the first man in space as a sign of the weakening of the free world.
And we know that NASA's got a lot of problems now also.
I've seen plenty of quarterbacks that could throw the ball through a cinder block wall.
What a passer.
They couldn't play dead.
So if neither zombies nor quarterbacks need an arm that can double as a weapon on a fighter jet, what is important?
Being a leader and dealing with the media and the pressures and all those other things, those mental things other than just your arm.
The quarterback lives in a world of pressure. How well he lives with it and reacts to it determines how good he is.
Ron Jaworski had a rocket arm. Roman Gabriel had a rocket arm. Kurt Warner doesn't have a rocket arm.
Woo! Got a rocket in your ass. That a way to move.
The quarterback has to have a good arm, but a rocket arm, no.
Guys like Drew Brees, Tom Brady, those guys could learn how to throw deep, even though when they were coming out of college it was, Drew Brees' arm isn't as strong as Michael Vick's.
Pennington's successful. He didn't have a rocket arm.
What a throw by Chad Pennington.
Joe Montana's successful. He didn't have a rocket arm.
And boy, did he rip a beauty, a perfect pass to Jerry Rice.
Helps. We all want to be Joe Flacco.
Say, he's cute. Don't you think so, Buttercup?
It's nice if he has one. I don't think it's a prerequisite to be a great one.
You don't have to have a gun to be a successful NFL quarterback.
Joe Montana said, I don't throw darts at balloons, I throw balloons at darts. Case closed.
The number 4 football myth of all time. You have to run to set up the pass.
One of the most cherished football myths is a misguided strategy. It's the philosophy that says you must run the ball to set up the pass.
True. No. Very true.
I don't think so. Myth or reality?
Talking to an offensive lineman here now. Don't forget that.
That's reality.
When the coach says, I've got to establish the running game, he is, if you'll excuse me, Cameron, he's full of shit.
John Madden says that all the time, running opens up passing.
They're going to have to do a little running.
Forget that.
If I hear another guy talk about running to set up the pass, I am going to throw a brick through my television.
Typically, you have to run the ball to set up the pass.
Knock it off with that.
I'll go back to the 1960 Eagles. They did not have a great running attack, but they had Tommy McDonald, Pete Retzlaff, and Bobby Walston to play tight end. They started to implement pass first rather than run.
The Dutchman aimed for McDonald. Great play.
Well, we definitely saw this year that the whole premise that you have to have a running game is a faulty one. The running game's always been a cornerstone of the Pittsburgh Steelers, but it wasn't this year.
What a throw. You got to give Roethlisberger credit.
And then, Arizona, they had the 32nd ranked running game.
Kurt Warner's not going to get there.
They couldn't run it at all, and yet Kurt Warner was still able to take apart defenses.
Touchdown!
And they get all the way to the Super Bowl.
1, 2, 3, Super Bowl!
I think you need a mixture. I think you need to run when they think pass and pass when they think run.
That's a great cliche.
I think you could do it the other way around, too. Pass when they think run. And run when they think pass.
What?
In the percentage, if you're doing statistics show you have to run to set the pass. But you get some quarterbacks, you don't need to do that.
Unless you have Tom Brady or Peyton Manning. There's no quarterback who can consistently carry his team without having a running game.
There are those that say you must establish the run. But unfortunately, often by the time you may have established it, you're behind 21-0.
Bill Walsh was not going to use the run to set up the pass.
When you come underneath, you got all the pursuit coming back toward you.
However, he did use the pass to set up the run, and he would use certain passes as if they were run plays.
Why bang your head against the wall if it's only 4 steps to go around it? We proved winning a world championship, you didn't need a star running game. You ran late to finish the game.
Teams that win have a lot of carries and a lot of yards because they're running out the clock. You run to seal the win. You pass to get the lead.
We threw the football so we could run the football at times because it makes it easier. Safeties will move back to guard against the pass, and then you have to run.
Cuts left. Touchdown, Rams.
You don't need to establish the run, because if you're running into the line for 3 yards a carry the whole game, what are you trying to make the other team scared of? That you'll run it into the line for 4 yards a carry?
There's 2 schools of thought. Run to set up the pass.
Pass to set up the run.
That is true.
It's up to...
You have to run to set up the pass.
Your offensive coordinator.
Unless you pass to set up the run.
Well...
You have to outscore the opponent. That's a tenet that I believe in.
It helps. Only the meatiest myths made our list. Here's a leftover that didn't quite pass mustard.
How about pre-game meals?
The Steelers are going to win because they're hungry. They didn't have no breakfast today.
That you had to have steak and eggs.
Steak and eggs and orange juice. Yeah, that's what you had to eat before you played.
Juice! Steak and eggs gotta be the worst thing for you to go out and play. It doesn't even digest.
Some got my stomach doing the Watusi right now.
Mark Van Eegen used to have lasagna and a milkshake. That's what you're supposed to have, something good like that.
I don't think that's a myth.
They didn't make the list? Oh.
The number 3 football myth of all time. You can't lose your job due to injury.
That's a good rule if we're all in grade school.
Well, I think you can lose your job due to injury. Just ask Drew Bledsoe.
Bledsoe rolls to the right, 25, 30, and got around right at the stick. And I'm not sure he's going to get up on this one.
Well, Drew Bledsoe got hurt, and they went with Tom Brady.
Tom Brady's in the game.
You're right. There's no reason to put Drew Bledsoe back in the game.
The Patriots are Super Bowl champions!
Some of the NFL's greatest have gained and lost jobs due to injuries.
Joe Montana lost a job because of injury, and if Joe Montana can lose a job because of injury, anybody can.
You put the best player on the field, the guy that's got the hot hand, gives you the best opportunity to win. And sometimes it's that Kurt Warner that steps in for Trent Green.
We will rally around Kurt Warner, and we'll play good football.
And you never look back.
St. Louis, the best football team in the world!
We've seen many examples where, let's say, a quarterback got hurt during the season.
We won 7 with Elvis. He's our captain.
Then came back near the end of the year, and the other quarterback had been playing well.
Gannon to throw. Touchdown! Kansas City takes the lead.
The coach feels, I got to give it back to my number 1 guy.
Elvis is our quarterback for the duration as far as I'm concerned.
And that turned out to be the wrong decision.
Gerbeck into the end zone. Pass is going to be knocked away. The Bronco defense holds.
And while everyone thinks they won't lose their job due to injury, they only need to hear 2 words: Wally Pipp.
The Wally Pipp phenomena is alive and well in the NFL.
You know who Wally Pipp is? Never heard of him. Nope. Wally Pipp was a hell of a baseball player that was replaced when he got hurt. No one ever heard of Wally Pipp again.
Wally Pipp couldn't have lost his job due to an injury, but I think he sort of did.
We can all be Wally Pipp, believe me.
Brett Favre played Lou Gehrig to Don Majkowski's Wally Pipp in 1992.
And Majkowski is down and hurting, Max. He is hurting.
And the rest was history.
History tonight as quarterback Brett Favre starts his 200th consecutive game behind center.
You start in this league for 200 straight games, you get something special.
Shaken up on the play is Greasy.
Yeah, it looks like his right ankle, Rick.
When Bob stayed on the ground, I knew that there was something that was pretty bad, and he probably would have to come out of the ball game. So I put Earl Morrall into the ball game, and all he did was make plays to help us win not only that game, but then go undefeated the rest of the way.
Firing down the corner, Warfield, touchdown!
But in the Super Bowl, Shula made a decision that was the exception to the myth.
Everything I decided on is based on the fact that Bob Greasy was now healthy.
That decision propelled the Dolphins to perfection.
The Dolphins have completed the greatest season in NFL history.
There's a lot of guys that have lost jobs due to injuries. It's just one of those things coaches like to say to sound fair.
That's a fallacy. That's from a coach who was too afraid to make a decision that he really wanted to.
Sims is starting to limp off the field here. Now we'll get Jeff Hostetler.
I agree that that's the case with a lot of teams, but I think that's one of the dumbest things that I hear coaches say.
In the NFL, you can always lose your job because of injury. Maybe in college, maybe in high school, they have that rule, but in the NFL, you have to win.
It's about 600 pounds on top of Schrader.
Why do you want to go to the lesser player just because of some unwritten code? It's just dumb. You want to win.
If you're injured, you better get back out there quick because this train will move without you.
He really got hit.
Life happens. Got somebody else who's better than you, take a seat.
For the past 20 years, parity is said to have given every team an equal chance to win. But is that a myth or a fact?
Parity is a good word.
I like that every year, every team feels they have a chance. It's good for the game.
Let's go on and shock the world, dog!
I understand where people love the dynasties. They love the Steelers. They love the Cowboys. But I also love the fact that the Seattle Seahawks, the Arizona Cardinals, could make it to a Super Bowl.
The Arizona Cardinals are going to their first Super Bowl!
But the Browns and Lions have been left behind to fail when others flourished.
I think there are still some teams that are going to be left at the bus stop when the parity bus drives on.
Paul Tagliabue's greatest word, parity. It's what he wanted. He got it, and it's still not quite hit Detroit yet.
The Lions fall to 0-16.
Detroit Lions. They know nothing!
Wow. Lions. Bad.
The number 2 football myth of all time. Defense wins championships.
Defense wins championships.
Defense wins championships.
I'm a defensive guy. If I'm not on the field, we have no chance of winning the ball game. That shouldn't even be on the list.
Defense gets the offense the ball back again.
Defense do win championships. I don't think that is a myth.
Even though I play offense, I would tend to agree. Most times, defense does win championships. Case in point with Oakland playing against Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl. Oakland had number 1 offense, and Tampa Bay had the top defenses, and they shut them down.
The defense got us to this Super Bowl, and they're trying to win it for us. Heads intercepted at the 30. Derek Brooks 30. There it is. We're going to win the Super Bowl.
Defense does not win championship. It will give you a chance, and your offense has to win it for you.
The 1999 Rams' number 1 ranked offense beat almost everyone on their way to the Super Bowl.
If you have the type of offense that we had, your defense can be average, and your offense can win you games.
Touchdown, Rams! Hurry home! 1999 Rams have proven that a good offense can win a championship too. That's the game. It's over. And if they didn't prove it, then the 97 and 98 Broncos proved it.
This one's for John.
If they didn't prove it, then the 1980 Raiders proved it.
This was our finest hour. This was the finest hour in the history of the Oakland Raiders.
When it really comes down to crunch time, so often that offense is going to be the one that's going to have to take you down the field to produce your points.
Don Coryell's Cardinals of the 70s had a red-hot offense. Their defense was not.
We didn't have a very good defense. We could have scored thousands of points on any team we wanted to. We just didn't have a defense that could actually stop anyone.
Puget had no trouble beating his man.
Any quarterback who has won multiple Super Bowl titles has done so with a great defense. If you'd have talked to Terry Bradshaw,
He's a blonde bomber.
he would have to say yes because Joe Green and Jack Lambert would kill him.
That's ridiculous. You hear defense wins championships all the time, but if you look back at history, Pittsburgh was. But Pittsburgh's offense still had Terry Bradshaw, Mike Webster, Swan Stallworth in the Hall of Fame. Green Bay Packers had a great defense, but people still know them as an offense.
What we're trying to get is a seal here and a seal here and try to run this play in the alley.
They won their first two.
Congratulations for the second year in a row.
If you have a great defense, one of the best of all time, you don't have to do that much on offense. If you're the Ravens, you can win the Super Bowl alone with that kind of a defense.
Those 2000 Ravens, I don't believe they averaged more than 20 points a game on offense, but they were able to win the Super Bowl.
Come on, D, do what you do best.
When Baltimore and Ray Lewis won the Super Bowl, obviously they were a defensive team, and you can say that defense won that Super Bowl.
Picked off by Dwayne Stark, touchdown!
Every time I look at the scoreboard, it's the team with the most points that wins the game.
Montana to Taylor. They went 92 yards in 11 plays.
The Pittsburgh Steelers had the #1 defense.
We win the game. This is a legendary defense.
But when it came down to the end, the offense won that championship.
Ben scrambles around, throws it back corner of the end zone. D'Antonio with a touchdown!
Great teams win championships. You got to have offense, you got to have defense, and it helps to have special teams too.
The rules have changed so much in favor of the offense in the passing game that I think defense winning championships is on its way out.
And now, the #1 football myth of all time. The prevent defense prevents you from winning.
I cringe when I hear people say,
Prevent defense will prevent you from winning a football game.
show me the proof.
A true prevent defense is almost a Hail Mary defense in which everybody goes deep.
Oh, my!
They're talking about playing a loose zone, don't get up and jam on a man coverage, and most of the time, it's going to work.
Brady takes the snap, back to pass, steps up, and it is incomplete. The New York Giants have knocked off the New England Patriots.
If you've got a lead, making the other team move the ball down the field, make them use up the clock, it makes sense.
It does mean that the team is going to gain some yards, but if you commit to stopping the team the way you tried to stop them through the first 3 quarters of the game, you are going to risk getting beat by the big play.
And into the end zone for the touchdown.
Whoever came up with this prevent what?
You fight the whole game, not to give up any yards. And then all of a sudden you're dropping back 10 and you're giving up 10 at a clip. It ruins your mentality, and then you get down near the goal line, you can't get it back. Thomas is free, touchdown!
It's like asking a guy in a heavyweight fight, take a few rounds off, go slow, and then we're going to bring you back in about the 14th round. It doesn't work that way.
PDQ 1200. This fourth quarter defensive strategy that tries to stop big offensive gains can get groans from fans.
The question is, prevent defense.
And that would be the prevent defense.
Yes is the answer to that.
The idea that it never works,
That is correct.
that it doesn't make sense,
That's a fact.
well, it's not true. It's the 1960 championship game. The Eagles took the lead late in the game, and they went into a classic prevent defense where they rushed 3, dropped everybody else off. The final play of the game, Bart Starr drops back, takes the only play that's available, and Jim Taylor then has to run it from about the 20. At the 8-yard line, Chuck Bednarik made the tackle, and the final seconds ran off.
The Eagles win their first World Championship since 1949.
That's exactly what it's designed for. That's exactly the way it's supposed to work.
So while we already know that regular old defense may not win championships, history proves that the prevent defense can. Just ask the 99 Rams.
Time runs out, that's it! We win!
A very, very high percentage. A winning percentage of prevent defenses prevent you from losing. They help you win the football game.
It's over, we're world champions!
I went to the Thursday night game when the Jets beat the Patriots this year, the 34-31 game. I could still see as the Patriots are driving down the field that Mangini in the prevent defense, you knew New England was going to go down and score.
Touchdowns! Randy Moss!
I'll tell you the coaches that used to do it, John Robinson, Joe Walton, they didn't last long. So prevent defenses, are you listening, head coaches, also prevent you from keeping your job.
What have you been doing all day other than preventing touchdown, preventing first down?
Gang get it.
Preventing field goals.
The kick has been blocked.
All of a sudden you get to this game and these new signals come out. No.
What's a prevent defense do?
Prevents you from winning.
How many times have we heard that? But when a nickelback does make an interception around the goal line at the end of the game,
Intercepted by the Giants, and that is it.
the prevents defense help win that game.
You know, if you go into a situation where you're unnecessarily trying to put pressure on a quarterback, creating a one-on-one situation outside in the critical part of the game, and the defensive back falls down, you get beat.
Down the sideline 30.
You're going to want that prevent defense.
But here's what's even worse than the prevent defense is the prevent offense.
Whoa there! This myth-busting stampede has reached its end. But before we ride off, a final preventative word.
The prevent defense.
Hate it. Hate it.
I would call that one of the greatest innovations
I can't stand it.
in NFL history.
I've always hated the prevent.
And
I will continue to hate the prevent.
I don't think it does get the respect it deserves.
It works more often than people think.
Prevent defense has never once worked.
It doesn't work every time, but nothing in football works every time.
But to me, I know I'm on a soapbox now. What's worse than the prevent defense is the prevent offense. In your face. Game over.